My first question has to be, when you sit back and reflect on the things that has gone on since June 6th, I'm just wondering what you make of it, and whether on reflection, number 12 is something you would have done again.
Well, I think one of my greatest regrets about number 12 is the fact that I underestimated football. And if I knew people were this passionate about football, maybe I should have done this 5 years ago. And I sincerely think that I've learned a lot from this investigation. And it's just natural. If you don't like something, you are not inclined to go after it. And all along the investigation, when it was going on, I always underestimated everything that I got. And I just got out one afternoon and I said, look, Ghana looks so quiet. Africa is quiet. Can we just put something in there to make it hot? But I wasn't expecting it to be hotter. Now it is hotter, and it gets hotter and hotter every day. And so, yeah, if you give me the opportunity to do number 12 again, I would rethink it and do it again in a grand style.
What is the one thing about the reaction to number 12 that shocked you? I was there for the premiering. There were people outside 3 hours before for the 3 o'clock opening. 5 o'clock opening was full. I got bigger and bigger requests. Every time characters showed up on TV, people were completely blown away by it. What for you was the one takeaway from the opening viewing that surprised you the most?
I thought that, look, I've done a lot of huge stories across the world, and this is one story that really shocked me. It cut across all the political divides. Market women, ordinary men, all find solace in football, and they spoke so passionately. If you know me, I mean, I would take off everything and be walking through the people, and that's what I did that day when everybody thought I should be hiding somewhere. I was walking through the people. You should hear the comments. I felt very, very happy that I knew that I had touched the right nerve, that these people who otherwise I could not reach. And look, the rippling effect is so huge. Did you see the musicians organize a concert, a huge concert at the trade fair for number 12? I went on social media and there is this thing, I am Anas, and you go on Twitter and it went so crazy. And my take-home point was when I saw this old woman, almost about 85 years, who was in the queue and wanted to see it. The first show had ended, the second show she couldn't enter. If I had to beckon some of my guys to say that, look, this old lady needs to go and see it. And she indeed, when that told me that indeed, people just love football.
So you spoke about the rippling effects, and like most of your work, like the investigation into the justice system, into the children's home and the rest, but unlike a lot of them, this had almost an immediate impact. The president of the Ghana Football Association is off. He's not relaxing in a 5-star hotel in Russia. Football has come to a grinding halt. And there are many people within football fairly unhappy about that. Did you imagine the impact would be like this?
I did imagine that there would be an impact. But the question was, who cares? I thought nobody was going to care. I thought that if something affected football, what is the president's business with football? What does the news people need in football? I thought it was going to be one of those quiet stories that, like I said, I chose it from a collection of stories and said, look, let's put something in there and see how. Let's test the waters. Let's do something preliminary to make way for a bigger one to come. Only to realize that this thing was hiding as a big one and never showed its true colors to me. And I think that no one should ever underestimate. Now, when I see people watching football with passion, I get to realize that indeed it's a game that people really love.
One of the things that I have been thinking about throughout this period has been, you said you underestimated what football means. Some of us knew that once number 12 came out, you would face incredible opposition, and you faced quite a lot. And the key character in all this, we call him the key character because Oti-Adjei has said a lot of things. He's disputing, suggesting that this was a cut and paste project. He's basically called your approach into question. Says he never,
See, my brother, look, we didn't start this game today. I've done plenty undercover work. It's the same chorus they sing. Cut and paste. You manufactured the pictures. You did this. You did that. At the end of the day, look, FIFA is not a foolish organization. Don't forget, within 48 hours of my petition reaching FIFA, they had banned him. Why? Because they had seen the prima facie evidence. Forget not, I'm a lawyer. And I take evidence very, very seriously. Because look, if I don't, I'll end up going into jail myself. So, all this cut and paste is a fruitless attempt at defending himself. It will end up nowhere. All the court actions he's talking about, he's not going to do it. He knows. He knows very, very well. So, I'm not perturbed at all about these oppositions. I get them every single time I do my stories. People have issues with methodology, they're entitled to it. But look, as far as we go by the strict rules and regulation that is supposed to govern a football guru like him, he will not get it. He will lose it in a minute.
One of the things that he's also said has been to try to use entrapment. So basically the idea is that normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm forced into doing this. How do you react to that?
When people talk entrapment and all that, look, this is a sting operation. It's done by the BBC, done by Al Jazeera, done by New York Times, done by everybody in the world. What is different? When I was doing Osu Children's Home, that was not entrapment. When I was doing the judges, so are football people more human than judges? No. We are developing a society. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. It's same investigative piece that we've churned out over the years. And so those who have their issues with talking about entrapment. But let me specifically go look at Oti-Adjei. And when I look at him, I feel entrapped by him. And not me entrapping him. Why? A football guru, I pick you from the airport. I put you in a hotel. The first thing you begin to tell me, even before we meet the supposed businessman, is how to scam the businessman and scam the GFA. That's exactly what happened. So if you watch the video, you realize that he started coaching me how you can form a company. He said all that. Nobody forced it.
His suggestion is that because you have several hours of footage, what you put out for the 2 hours may not be very representative.
Of course, that is journalism. Nobody can sit down at the International Conference Center and watch 200 hours of footage. You cut out what is relevant. But back to the story. So he tells me that, look, if we want to make money for us to share, and he adds me to the sharing units. I'm supposed to be, I was supposed to be a facilitator of a meeting between a football guru and a businessman. The man takes me through a series of lectures, how we can make money, and proposes a company called Namax, and says that we can charge the Ghana Football Association, which he is the head, between 20 and 25%. I didn't know this. Then he tells me that even Namax, even the company, Mid-Golf, the businessman, we can also charge them 5%. Immediately, after sitting with him for 25 minutes, I knew that we had made $4.5 million just from his explanation, from $15 million. I didn't know that. I'm not a football person. Then you turn around to say, I have entrapped you. Another point people make is that perhaps because money was given him, that might have pushed him to say all the things that. Watch the sequence carefully. Oti-Adjei dropped the names and gave me all this formula, even before we met the businessman. And even with the businessman, it was the last thing The last thing that happened was him getting money. But when he saw them, and he just moved into another tirade and kept on promising heaven and earth. Look, you are a criminal, you are a criminal. If you are a good person, no matter an issue that is illegal, if it's put before you, you throw it out. He could have called the police on me. So this is not entrapment. Where is it? It's a sting operation that is done worldwide, everywhere. It's not the first time that has happened even in football. So he's entitled to his opinions. But look, my journalism is based on three main principles: naming, shaming, and jailing. I take my time to go through the legal system, and I subject myself to rigorous scrutiny. I'm not saying that people should swallow what I say hook, line, and sinker. No, that's not what I say. I say that when I say that you have committed a crime, I give you all the evidence. So I stand to be scrutinized by a team of lawyers. I do that every day. It didn't start today. In the judge's scandal, 6-7 lawyers cross-examining me. I've gone through it. So let Nyantechi see the fact that those noises that are being made, they don't mean anything to me. I knew that he was going to put up perhaps a 20-member legal team. And I have gone through the footage. I know every single word that was said. And I subject myself to every scrutiny, both at FIFA, CAF, GFA, and every level, police investigation. That's why I have gone ahead to submit all the evidence to the authorities. So it's clear that I am prepared to face him.
I want to return to the last one. He says, and to quote from the statement, that it's video and audio put together, and suggests that the audio where he's suggesting, whether if indeed he said he was suggesting, was audio possibly extracted from a different subject.
So if, assuming that I extracted from a different subject, so the BBC that did a film about my film, did they also extract from a different subject? What kind of logic is this? Today there are technologies that can tell you if a video is doctored within a second. The timelines will tell you. I've never been engaged in any doctoring of evidence. I heard this during the judge's scandal. I've heard it everywhere. When it comes to facing the real music, that's when you see how you'll be reduced to size. Nobody manufactures evidence. It's clear, very unambiguous, and straight to the point. Question Nyantechi will not last any legal test. Not for a second.
Do you, when you look at, so I look at, for instance, the female under 17 team, the under 20 team, they've been sent home, football has stopped. Do you feel sorry for those people, or you think this is a necessary exercise as part of a bigger page?
Say the under 17.
Under 17 women's team, under 17, under 20.
But they were not playing. They were not playing in the
ground. Because of the official ban or government's order for everything to be put on hold. They are home now. I'm just basically trying to...
So it means that they will stop training?
Yes. So I'm basically trying to ascertain what you make of the fact that for a lot of people beneath the powerful level you sought to expose, for them life has come to a standstill.
Okay, I get it now. Look, to be honest, I'm just learning for the first time that this one has stopped the under 70. I didn't, like I said, I don't follow football. I think that when football is going on, it's the league people, those who are playing their hand, they are the ones who come into the picture. But look, I went into this story looking for good and quality football for Ghana. I think we are better than what we are displaying. And I think that part of it is as a result of bad leadership, bad referees, bad Ghana Sports Authority. That's why my investigation looked at all these areas. I know that some of them will not be happy, but my intention was not to grind everything to a halt. My intention was for us to do a retrospection and to see where things have gone haywire and to find lasting solutions so that in 5-6 years to come, we'll have a formidable national football team. That's all I watch. So I don't know the Kotoko and others, and Black Stars, so that we can watch the Asamoahs. And no, at that time, Asamoah will not be there. So at that time, we'll get new players to play for the Black Stars. So if I've hurt the feelings of these people, I can only say I apologize.
In the long term, though, the ones about the referees for me was as important as the one relating to the attempt to suggest a 25% reduction of the sponsorship money. Was it your experience that the refereeing across board was rotten, or you had referees who just didn't want to have anything to do with you, who didn't want to touch any of you? Was that video a representation of the rot within the refereeing system in Ghana from what you observed?
Yes, I think largely about, say, 90% of the people we got were not. It was almost like a subculture that a referee will sit somewhere and then one team will bring the money and then the other one will also bring. So the highest bidder wins the match. And there were occasions that we went to pay money. I think was it at Doma or somewhere. We went to pay money. And then the referee told us that, well, what you have brought I have seen, but I can assure you that within the next 30 minutes, I'll get more than that. So we decided to just sit around and watch. And within the next 30 minutes, there came some other people who were the opposing side. And they indeed paid more. So that day we also went back and paid more. And indeed that match we won. So I got the impression that it's been a subculture for a long time. And it has devastating effects. As for the club owners, they know this. They know that it happens. They reap more when they don't have, and they know that their colleagues have been able to get more. The effects devastating. Fine player, good player, at the end of the day, is the one holding the whistle who decides your fate. And what shocked me in all this was the capacity to buy yellow cards and red cards, and the prices that they will peg for you for a yellow card and red card. I didn't know that those things were all affordable. If they were, perhaps I would have also owned the team and then gone to. But the rot is very deep, and I think that as a country, people believe in football. People do a lot. There are people who I learned are ordinary men. They sell whatever they have to sell and put money together just to pay and go and watch football. It's their everything. They think that the state has failed them. They are not able to make anything from the country. The only time they can see the Ghanaianness in them is when the Black Stars wear their jersey. So if a game that is supposed to unite us ends up dividing us, then there is a problem. But let me tell you this, and perhaps one of the key things that hit me and pushed me to say, do football, was the May 9th. You know, having been a barracks boy, when the May 9th incident happened, I found myself in the barracks, and a colleague of mine, Muhib Said, we have another colleague, the two of them had gone to watch this match. And then they called me to say that our other friend was nowhere to be found. But they had brought 3 dead bodies to 37. So I should look at the 3 to see whether our friend was there. So being a barracks boy, I just walked into the morgue because, of course, Papata is our friend. He knows all of us since we grew up as kids. So whenever we want to enter the morgue, he allows us. So I got in. And I realized that no, it was not 3. It was about 30. So I kept on walking on the 30. Then right there, they brought another 30. And I'm like, what? What is happening? Then, there and then, and we got to this number 120 with the days going by. So I saw it with my own eyes and I felt so uncomfortable. These were able young men, strong men who went to watch football. Their crime was what? Look, the committee report, if you read it carefully, forget about the police mistakes and all that. But what really led to the incident? The committee report points out that it's poor officiating. This is not supposed to say that there is evidence to suggest that any referee took money. Exactly. But that poor officiating hit me. It made me think that could it have been possible that any of these referees on that day took money? If they did, I want to know. If they didn't too, I want to know. So anytime I held this story and I moved from one stadium to the other, this kept on ringing in my mind. And it was a very important factor that pushed me to finish the story on time.
Then, how long do you think the legal battles and everything that comes with it involved? You mentioned how you're surprised by the objection to this, and it seems like from a football perspective, a lot of people, so whether it's Oti-Adjei stuffing money into this track,
My brother.
we had all of them say they will fight this in a legal perspective.
Look, it won't last. It will be a short battle. Because when they get into the dock and the raw footage, they begin to watch what they are saying. That's the end of the show. They will go back.
And also the people with the characters on your video, and you have to change with the thing that the raw extended footage will rather exonerate them. You are saying the raw extended footage would back up the case.
Would silence them immediately, and they will run in between, they will run with their tails in between their legs. I've seen this severally. I mean, the evidence is so strong that it's difficult for any judge to overlook it.
And that's raw footage that you are prepared to make available on the corners of the court.
It's not that I am prepared. Their raw footage I've already made available, not only to the court, but to the police and to FIFA and to CAF and everybody. It's there for us to see. If you have hours to spend, I can open my door for you to watch them, and you will cry for them. You know, it's sad, you know. So don't worry. I have seen this before. I tell you, these legal battles will not last. Many of them are just blowing hot air. They will forget about it quickly.
Before I go, I wanted to go through a few things. From a personal perspective, I remember you from journalism school, which was around that period. I've always said I knew group, and that period must have had some of the best journalists around. Did you know very early that you would become this almost mythical figure in journalism? And was that part of your agenda, because you used to write articles for investigative police and plaster them on walls and trees? Was this something you were going to play?
I think that my drive was more towards making a change in society. And as I grew up, even in the bar, I kept on asking. I nearly went into the army, because at that time, during the Rawlings era, the army men were the one controlling. How can you impact on society positively? And I realized the pendulum had shifted, because we were building a democracy. So I knew that, well, one of the best things you can become is to become a journalist. Then you become the voice of the voiceless. Then I also knew that perhaps if you want to strengthen your journalism and have a strong legal base, you need to go to the law school to strengthen that aspect too. I've done it all. And I think that the journey is going to be murky. It's going to come with thorns, but with focus and perseverance, we're going to get there. It's not new, all these threats about we will hang you, we will kill you, it's normal. They are the old tricks. It can only send a signal to you that perhaps you are touching the right nerves.
That made you intend to try to touch that very wrong level in football. You've shaken up the system. I have covered football for 20 years, going 2008, 2018. I've covered football for 20 years, and I've not seen a story with a sort of mandatory and like that. Not even the World Cup, not even had a sort of impact. Would you be making anything sports one day?
The story is still unraveling. Don't forget, Nigeria has not popped out yet. It's yet to come. Don't forget that we've got 22 African referees. And so I'm still expecting some fireworks to come from these countries. And would I do sports, football again? I don't know. It's difficult to tell. Now, I'm even more convinced that stories in my cupboard can look very deceptive, because this one, it's taught me a lesson that the one that I underestimated could be the one. I think that the lessons have not changed. We keep asking that big question to society. What is that issue that affects your daily lives? And those are the ones that bring answers to us to make a choice as to what story to look at. So I don't know. If it becomes necessary, you will find me there.
Before I go, there were those who questioned your decision to let the president see the footage before it was out. There are those who are also suggesting that maybe if you followed up from the lead about Mr. Aremeyaw suggesting what amount of money needed to be given to who, that was in a bigger story, and the idea has been that he basically made a decision to leave out some and keep some from that. How do you respond?
Well, I think that the decision to meet the president, the vice president, and other ministers named in it is journalistic. People have a right to reply. So indeed, even Oti-Adjei, we gave him a right to reply. Of course, he rejected it and threw the letter somewhere. The referees, we gave them same, and they rejected it. So a right to reply is a principle that is very important in journalism. And I couldn't have done this piece of work without giving them. So perhaps those who are questioning do not really understand, and I have no problems with them. It's just that they ought to know that it's a prerequisite in journalism.